Hi, I'm Vinny, and this is Vinny's View, back in the van for another review. That rhymed. Oh, that was horrible. Anyway, I just saw Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and this is the sixth installment of the Harry Potter series. The kids are older now. Gone is that teen angst that was in the last movie. What's replaced that now is an infatuation with each other. I think they're starting to see that they're actually boys and girls, and they're kind of all falling in love with each other. There's a lot of that stuff going on here. They're older now, and things are getting a little more serious, especially with Harry and Dumbledore. Dumbledore has in this movie has enlisted Harry even more than he has in the past as sort of a apprentice, if you will, to kind of help him fight against Voldemort. Oh, I said his name. Against he whose name will not be spoken. And he's really trusting Harry a little bit more as a sidekick or an apprentice, if you will, to really help him combat the dark side of the arts here. And I think that's a bit of a change as they get older. On the flip side, on the evil side, for some reason the Dark Lord has enlisted Draco Malfoy in this one to fight his battles and do a certain deed that he has been set out to do as well. Snape also is involved in this one, and he's always been a character where you didn't know for sure whether he was good or evil. He usually turned out to be good. There's that question in this movie as well. So all of that is kind of working in this plot. This is a 2.5-hour movie. It's a very long movie. I suppose if you read the books are very long as well. It probably could be a 5-hour movie, so they actually probably do a pretty good job of cutting it down a bit. But really that breaks it down. It's Harry, Dumbledore against the evil forces of Voldemort and his Death Eaters, and and in between some romances, and Ron kind of coming of age, and several of the women kind of vying for his affections. I don't know why. I don't. Look, ladies, why don't you tell me, is he really an attractive guy? But, okay, it's a movie. Some of the women in the movie are really kind of interested in him. He kind of comes of age a bit. Hermione obviously is involved, and maybe her she's a little attracted to him as well. And certainly, all the characters that have been in the original movie, have a role in this one. Definitely lacking a little of the Voldemort presence is there. Certainly, there's a bit of it. Actually, part of the movie is going back in time and seeing him when he was a kid, when he was Tom Riddle, as a part of the Hogwarts school, and part of Dumbledore kind of recruiting him. And certainly we go back in time, and really a lot of the plot also involves trying to find a memory hidden deep within the new professor, played by Jim Broadbent in this movie, finding a memory that's going to be the key to really nailing him down and really getting him. And that's a big part of the movie as well. So a lot of the movie is actually flashbacks to seeing Tom Riddle, or Voldemort, when he was a kid, and sort of seeing where his genesis kind of comes from and where he came from. So it's a very involved movie, but actually for a long movie it's sort of a simple movie. It's not really terribly confusing. Some of the early ones I felt like were a little bit more confusing. There's also a lot less action in this movie, so it's kind of a give and take. I mean, this movie, I think, in a lot of ways, it's really setting up the last two movies. They're going to make two movies out of the last book to really, I guess, it's really just going to be the final showdown with Voldemort and the battle between good and evil. So, in a lot of ways, this movie really is a kind of a setup for what's to come. And in a lot of ways, it sort of felt like that, because there wasn't a ton of action. There wasn't a ton of that wizardry that you're used to in some of the earlier movies. So you don't have a lot of that action. There's a lot of it is really just building, sort of telling the viewers really where these characters are right now, and setting them up, I think, for the next couple of movies. What's most amazing about this series is how they've kept this cast together. The cast, it's amazing how they were very, very young when they first started. And Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. They were very young kids, and they kind of took a shot at the fact that these kids are going to grow up and grow into these parts, which they have, and they've done it very well, and they've really kept the cast together incredibly well with Alan Rickman as Snape. He's terrific, and of course Michael Gambon now plays Dumbledore because Richard Harris, of course, passed away early on. But for the most part, the cast is very, very much intact. One thing I also love about this series is the incredible visuals that they've created. I think they really set themselves apart from a lot of the movies that are out now, and there's so many special effects movies. This movie has a whole look unto its own. It's always an amazing look. This one, while I think it looks great, I think it is not quite as spectacular, let's say, as the earlier movies, because again, I think there's not as much fighting, there's not as much action in this movie, but again, the visuals are brilliant, and carries on that brilliant look from the original ones, but again, not quite as much action. Okay, so what do I think about this movie? Am I going to recommend it? Well, I'm a fan of this series. Obviously, I really like the series. I felt like maybe this one was the weakest one, one of the weaker ones, at least. Definitely one of the weaker ones, if not the weakest. But again, it's a great series. So the movie actually was good, not great. But I think it served its purpose, and it's going to really help sort of catapult us into the next couple of movies. So I'm going to say not as magical. This one is just not as magical as some of the earlier ones, but still a terrific movie. And really, if you're a fan of the series, you really have to see it, because you want to really get into the last two. So not as magical, but still worth seeing if you're going to really get ready to see the other ones as well. So that's what I think about this one. Okay, so there you go. I'm Vinny. That was Vinny's View. Check me out as the summer goes along. We got a lot of really, really terrific movies coming up, and I'm really excited to review them for you. Okay? Thanks.